Welcome to the Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, CaptainLogun, and we have got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today, so tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. We've got a lot to talk about this week with Golden Glory, as well as some teases for the Sea of Thieves mystery. I'm going to be diving into some of the lore notes that we got from that, as well as see if I can go back and grab those journals that came to us from the last adventure. Also, just some little thoughts about captaincy, but plenty that I may or may not get to this episode. We'll have to see. But with that, let's get into it. Before we get into any of that, I have to thank the patrons. They are the ones that went over to patreon.com/Keelhauled podcast to support this podcast and the content I make for you. So thank you to People's Republic, El Cute, Balls, Bam Bam Bagel, Slum, Captain Hasco, Chateau Neuf, Zombie Killer, Cloud, Cosmic Johnson, Davram TV, El Jefe Esteban, Fergatron, Trickster, Jabaro5, Kazia the Rogue, Lumpy SRQ, Ocarian Darth, Dub Goose, Evil Morpheus, Xbox Mike 29, Murphy Lives, Munis Max, Raja the Brave, who's a new member. Thank you for joining, Raja. And tell me if that's how you want you have your name spelled or pronounced too. Regis Stella, Rust Bell Kid, Norwegian, Skinny Matt, Scum Melt 666. Tarnished Film, That Kilted Guy, TN Professor, Real Big Tuna, Uriel Canes, Big Bad Pad, Mina Fairy, Super Pack, Music Me, The Lord Chronologist Deadeye Dre, Ghost Boy 20, Evil Martha, Peter Miller, Rooski Doo, Straw Hat Connor, Thor Von Blitz, Windsor Chris, and Zam. Wow. Thank you all so much for your support. It really does mean the world to me. I love that you guys do this for me, and thank you so much. It really does help. Thank you so much. And with that, let's get into the episode. Maybe a musical number. What do you guys think?
We brought updates that were free to those who sail the sea, though there's always more potential within. And as this song will spell out, there's plenty to sing about, now that you can finally be a captain. Can you imagine owning your own ship, decorated with what you acquire? Then to satisfy your vanity, as long as there's no profanity, you can name it just how you desire. Oh, to set sail as a pirate captain, there's boatloads of new features we proclaim. Oh, to set sail as a pirate captain, that's why we really think that you should play this game.
And it's available with Xbox Game Pass, of course.
Oh, to set sail as a pirate captain, adventure will come knocking on your door. Oh, to set sail as a pirate captain, and you'll be amazed at what we have in store. The choice is yours, whatever captain you may be. Whether that's gold looting, no-scope shooting, robo racing, or embracing, everybody's welcome in this game. So come set sail as a pirate captain. Our time is almost up, so as we leave, if you want to be a pirate captain, come do it in Season 7 of Sea of Thieves.
Sorry, I just love that song so much. It's so much fun. I just absolutely love it. I can't wait for captaincy. If you guys listened to last week's episode, you know that Doug and I talked a fair amount about what we could possibly do, how it works, all that fun jazz. And it's exciting. It's a lot of fun. I had a really interesting discussion with Davram this weekend while we were sailing, because if you don't know, it was Golden Glory weekend this weekend, and I wouldn't be surprised if many of you were out there sailing. It was a good time by all, and as that was going on, we happened to find that there was a bunch of stuff going on with the Sea of Thieves social media accounts, but a little bit more on that in the later half of the episode. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Golden Glory weekend. We had a really, really good time. It was a great time for everyone to be running Athena right now. And many of you did. Many of you went out and were just grinding Athena till your heart's content. And we were really, really happy to see that a lot of folks were able to hit Athena level 30 this week. I personally hit 25 this week, or this weekend, I guess, technically. And it was just a really, really nice time. I got to sail with Davram and Patty, who was kind enough to kind of sail with us and kind of help helm things and take care of things as we were kind of going around. But we had probably one of the best moments. It was one of those moments when you're out there sailing. We were over by the little sea post that's just to the southwest of Keelhauled Fort, coincidentally enough. And we were planning on turning in some really valuable fish, some really rare ones that we got, some wreckers. And while we were doing that, we noticed that there was a sloop that was sailing over to Crescent Isle. Now, we had kind of just recently turned in a bunch of stuff that we had gotten, and we're planning on finishing up the emissary quests that we had gotten from the level 5 Athena voyages that we just completed the veils in those. So we were just kind of getting ready to set up the last half of our voyage when a sloop comes over and they park at the back of Crescent Isle. Now, we're in a brig. I don't know if they just didn't notice or if they just assumed that this weekend would be nothing but PvE, but they pulled into the back of Crescent Isle as you normally would if you were planning on working on the vault there. And we waited and we debated and we thought, I wonder, should we let them finish it? Should we bother with this? Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. It's a sloop, and we made the right choice. I will say we made the right choice. I hung out on the brig to kind of make sure that if we needed to, I could bring the ship over. We didn't take everyone, but the plan was to take a rowboat. We had a rowboat and we decided to take the rowboat over to Keelhauled Fort and get a bunch of kegs and then take the rowboat over to Crescent Isle and then blow up the ship. And then obviously by the time that they had gotten done with the vault, they probably would have carried most of that off onto the actual boat. And sure enough, Patty and Davram went over, they got a bunch of kegs and they rowed in a very odd fashion over to Crescent Isle and managed to get to the ship. And they managed to get 2 of the, I think, 5 kegs onto the boat and actually explode the ship. And it didn't sink them. So I'm panicking because Davram and Patty are dead. I should have set sail a lot sooner. I actually waited for them to both be dead before I finally decided to stop staring at the little icons above their names and actually set sail over there. And we sail over there. And as we're heading, or as I'm heading over there, we're going into the wind, of course, but we're still in a brig, so it's still not too bad. And we pull up and the sloop has recovered and we start laying into them. Davram goes over. He's able to board. He can hear them bucketing for their lives. They're doing everything they can possibly do to try and keep their sloop afloat. Patty and I are laying shot after shot after shot. And we start using curse cannonballs and blunder bombs to knock them off or try and get them sick so they can't repair. And we're trying to sink them. Finally, Patty beans one of them with a cannonball. I hit with a blunder, and Davram goes in, makes sure to kill off the other one, and both of them are dead, and their ship sinks, and they are just laden with loot. They've got a full vault's worth of treasure on board. They have what looks like at least a skeleton sloop or maybe like a megalodon's worth of treasure on there and a level 5 gold reaper. Or excuse me, not gold reaper, gold hoarder flag. And it was one of those moments where it was like you plan something, you execute on it, and you manage to come out with all of this amazing treasure as a result. So to whoever that crew was in that sloop, I am sorry that you had to bear the brunt of us coming down on you when we really were planning on I was planning on a very casual stream because I figured Golden Glory probably wasn't going to be a whole lot of sweats on the ocean kind of going out sinking people outside of the few that are out kind of doing their normal reapering and stuff. Totally 100% understand that as well too, because it's a great time to do that. Meanwhile, other crews out there are getting multiple ships on a server, dropping Athena gilded voyages and such, and really just trying to take advantage of this Golden Glory weekend. And Pat and Davram and I, we're just kind of hanging out, doing our normal stream. But the fact that it was Golden Glory weekend was so nice. And I will say that aside from one disconnect that I had, which I think was a hazelnut beard, which has kind of been a bug that we've been seeing recently, overall, the entire stream was flawless. Didn't really have any issues. We didn't have any issues. Like, there was one moment where things weren't quite registering, but they eventually rolled in like as we were going, and the servers were handling things very well for us. Now, obviously, I can't speak for everyone on the season, their experience. Hopefully everyone had a good time. I checked in with a friend of the show, Insipid Ghost or Luke Lore, the Xbox expansion pass, who was with some friends, as well as Joe or Mr. Badbit from the PlayStation Trophy Room. Good friends, good podcasts out there. Hafrican in them. They were all kind of in the midst of battle, and I was just kind of hanging out in Destiny, just, you know, doing normal stuff while I was listening to them kind of get super sweaty this weekend. And hopefully they got a fair amount of loot doing that, because it was really nice to see them playing Sea of Thieves. It really was, because they're always so hard in grinding through the games that they're either playing for the sake of their communities or for their consoles. And, you know, they try to get some Halo in as well. But, you know, if it's not Halo, then it's other games. And they like to hang out and have fun. And I usually see them on shooters, and it was nice to see them playing Sea of Thieves. So this whole weekend just felt like such a warm, awesome weekend for Sea of Thieves content, especially after the Season 7 announcement for captaincy. And that led to a very interesting conversation between Davram and I, where I think he is absolutely bonkers to think about captaincy being tied to a paywall for the Emporium. He doesn't necessarily think this will happen. I will caveat this. I don't think he thinks this is going to happen, but I definitely think that he feels like there's a possibility that with captaincy coming, that they will charge you a one-time fee for real money or ancient coins to be able to buy the ability to customize your ship as a captaincy update. To which I argued it would be such bad blood for Rare to do this. I don't think that this is something that Rare's going to do. I think with captaincy being the marquee feature for Season 7, I think that they are going to have it included the way they had like Sea Forts included, the way that adventures are included. All of the updates that come to Sea of Thieves, the content that comes there is all generally free when they add stuff like this. The stuff that isn't free is typically tied to the paid version of the Plunder Pass or new sets and cosmetics that come directly to the Pirate Emporium. And there is an opportunity for Rare to make a choice that would put captaincy behind a paywall, which I see where the capitalism would come into that. It is a really tasty fruit on the forbidden tree that basically says, like, you know, you could eat healthy off of this and gain all of this revenue from this captaincy purchase, but it's going to really cause some heartache and some strain on your community down the line. And is that really worth it for the revenue stream? And it kind of goes back to the old adage of, razor blades. When you sell a razor blade, you sell the handle cheap, or you give the handle away for free and you charge for the razor blades. You know, you're not setting someone up to use just the razor blade once. That's not going to keep a customer. You keep a customer by selling them the replacement blades. So you can give away a handle and a couple razor blades for free, knowing that they are going to use that, and then when they need new blades, they're going to come to the manufacturer of the blades for that handle. You don't need multiple razor handles. So with that, I think they are definitely going to move in a direction that will give captaincy to players, either tied to commendations or gold unlock, something in game that you have to do to really kind of earn the right to be a captain. I think everyone is going to be a captain, but I think if you want to have like your name on your ship, you may have to buy into like an emissary flag for the sovereigns, if that's going to be a thing. There's going to be something that will have to unlock it. I don't know that it's going to be something that everyone will have access to, but I wouldn't be surprised by that either, because Rare likes to let everyone feel like they can experience a full update. You know, they have very specifically made the Pirate Legend Veil Voyage just for Pirate Legends, and that was the first time that I think that they've brought content to the game that has been tied directly to a lockout that has to require you to be a pirate legend. I think with a captain, that's a little more broad of a term used for sailing for pirates, for people playing Sea of Thieves. Everyone has a captain, whether you're a pirate legend or not, whether you have gold or not. So I do think that that's something that is going to be tied to just having playing the game, and that's something that I feel is correct. It is the right choice. Where I feel like a lot of captaincy stuff is going to be tied to is the themes that they have. We saw themes with the trailer. We understand that there's going to be a lot of little trinkets that you can buy to unlock to be able to put in your captain's cabin, and or even in the ship in general. And to do that, I think you're going to have to unlock those some way. You're going to have to unlock those cosmetics by doing things. I don't know how or how that's all going to work out, but I do think that will probably be something that will tie to. I would be interested to find out if the sovereigns will be the quote unquote gatekeepers of that type of content, or if it's just going to fall back to the trade companies, which I think would actually be a good idea to really kind of expand out all of the trade companies, really kind of give you a reason to do this. But at the same time, I also wouldn't be surprised if this content was something that was tied to the emissary ledgers. I think the emissary ledgers are kind of in a weird place right now. Like, we're not quite sure what the next set of emissary cosmetics are going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised, given the nature of how a lot of the little cosmetics that we've seen with the trailers and such would be tied to ledger stuff. Like, if you get to the top tier of the ledgers for this month, then you can unlock these certain trade company cosmetics for your ship. I'd love to hear some thoughts on this, especially if you haven't been in the insiders. I know the insiders, they're getting all this information. They're testing all of this, and they're doing their due diligence to hopefully give good feedback to the devs to let them know how this would be received, as far as like what you want to keep an eye on and stuff. So hopefully they're working on that. But for those of you who like myself haven't ventured into the insiders for the sake of keeping the suspense, keeping the allure of the mystery behind it all, I'd be curious to hear how you all feel about this. I'm looking forward to how this upcoming Gold Hoarder episode in the next month, or next week actually, we'll go and see like if people are excited for this and see what they think, if there's going to be certain sets that they're excited about. Like, personally, I'm very interested in the Crimson Crypt set and the oh gosh, what is it called? It's the Spinal set, but I can't think of what the actual name for the Cutthroat set. I believe it's the Cutthroat set. I would love to see what the Emporium versions of the Captain's Cabin, if that's the route that they go, will look like. Because I would imagine that they would want to have cosmetics themed for the different Emporium sets, and there's some in there that I would die to see. I would love to have like a super gothed out, like it looks like Hot Topic Captain's Cabin that's tied to the Crimson Crypt set, like skeleton dog involved, everything. And speaking of that, actually, real quick, we got an interesting image that came from the social media sites after the announcement of season 7, and with it there was it was a very interesting crew that was seen in the image, and it was basically, the image was of 4 people in the captain's cabin. One was wearing the pirate legend outfit. One of them was wearing what was it, the bombardier set? I think it's the bombardier set. The one that looks like Junkrat. Gosh, I don't know why I'm struggling so hard with that. But that, and then there were 2 other ones that I can't quite make out. They're very interesting, and I'm very interested in seeing what those are going to turn into be. It's nice to think that there's a possibility of them becoming the Courage set, especially given that we don't know much about this, but also we saw at the base of the table, if you look at the actual image, it looks like a dog, but it does not look like a dog that we have right now, and it actually looks like a fox. And if that's the case, are we actually going to be getting a new type of pet, like a reskinned pet? Because they have some really beautiful piratey clothing and stuff, and I love that. But if we're going to be getting different pets that look like the same breed, like obviously foxes and dogs are still within that same kind of canine family. I would not be surprised if they gave us like a skin for animals that made them look like different types of the same genus or family or whatever the scientific term is to denote like foxes and dogs are related somehow. But boy, howdy, a fox would be fantastic, because I would love to have a cat that looks like a raccoon, if I'm being 100% honest. And I know a couple fans of raccoons that are pirates that would probably love that as well too. But kind of getting into the whole captaincy thing, I'm glad that it's coming. I'm glad that we're getting more of it. I can't wait to find out more about this. And for some reason, I just felt like I really wanted to talk about this a little bit more. It was probably because I was listening to the actual trailer again, and I can't get over that song. It's so good. Beanland and McMurtry really just absolutely killed it with that song. And boy howdy, with Sea of Thieves Fest coming up on like 5 weeks or 4 weeks away, I would love to be able to have them show up there and be able to do like a in person rendition of the song, because it's so good. Man, even just having that as like a song to be able to listen to on the I downloaded the video, so I can listen to it whenever. But man, that's got to get added to the Spotify. Actually, I'm gonna check and see if it's on Spotify right now, because if it's not, it needs to be on the Spotify list, because they've added pretty much every song on that they've offered in the past already. But if they don't have this on there, I'm gonna be super sad, because it's so good. It's so absolutely good. It does look like they have it. Yep, it's the latest release, Captains of Adventure. Hold on, I'm gonna make sure this is the right one, so I'm not talking out of my bum. Oh my God, they did put it on there. They put it on June 12th, and they have the instrumental version too. So if you're crazy like me and you've been writing down the lyrics, you could actually record yourself singing the song too. And that's very exciting. I might actually practice this. Hell, I might even have like a flash drive that I take to Sea of Thieves Fest and see if I can get this like on the karaoke, if karaoke is going to be a thing nearby, because I would absolutely love to have this as like a karaoke track. Oh my God, I love it. All right, I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna stop gushing about that. Let's talk about something else. All right, let's jump into some of the things. And before I get into this too, also shout out to Hixtape Victim over in Australia, who went to a con recently, convention, and Zuki Art was there selling Sea of Thieves prints. But the Hixtape Victim has a whole Reaper's outfit, like a whole Reaper's pajamas outfit, and it looks fantastic. So shout out to you for you having your just like all of it. Just the entire cosplay looks fantastic. I love the mask. I love the robe and everything. It looks great. So good job on the cosmetics. The belt is fantastic, by the way. Absolutely fantastic. So just seeing a lot of really awesome people doing some really fun stuff on Twitter recently. But anyway, going back to kind of the conversation that we were having as far as Sea of Thieves and captaincy, just excited about that. I'm trying to think, what was it? I lost the complete thread of what was going on. I'm gonna stop, and we're gonna kick this back up. Ahoy there, pirates. This is the ad for this episode, and I did want to let you know, if you wanted to avoid these and just get a regular filler, you can head over to the Patreon. There's a special feed just for patrons that get the ad-free version. If you want to keep listening, though, I can't say I blame you, because this week I want to let you know about Loot Crate and getting 15% off of most crates and crate subscriptions when you use the link and code RobotsRadio in the show notes. Also, you can head over to audiobooks.com, get your first 3 audiobooks for free, and that can include any 2 VIP books, or use the affiliate link for Green Man Gaming. If you're a PC gamer or you'd like to save money on games, it's one of the benefits of being a PC gamer. Head over to Green Man Gaming. You can get codes for Steam, Epic, any of the different stores that they have deals going on. They have deals going on all the time, and if you plan on buying there, please consider using our affiliate link. All of that goes straight to me through the network. Thank you all so much for everything that you do to support this podcast. It means the world to me, and I continue to try and improve the quality and the content for you. With that, pirates, let's get back to the show. Okay, I remember what I wanted to talk about, and that is, of course, the Sea of Thieves mystery. If you don't know, about an hour ago, as of the time of the recording, which is really, I'm going to be 100% honest, it's like 10:20 at night right now. I should be like editing this thing so that it's getting published before I have to go to bed. But unfortunately, when you record, things happen, and sometimes you have to address those things because you don't want to wait an entire week to talk about them. So we got a brand new Sea of Thieves from Sea of Thieves' Twitter account. They posted a new image of the music box, which is apparently the scrawling board for all of the ways that we're going to be unlocking the stuff that goes on with this. And if you haven't been keeping up, to give you a bit of a rundown, there's a music box that is sitting in front of a skeleton slumped at a tree. The music box has numerous carvings on its side that have been seen in previous versions of the image. One of them was a retweet symbol that had 2 M's to indicate 2,000 retweets. The next one had a wind symbol that had 3 M's to indicate 3,000 likes, I believe it was, ended up being. And now we have a new one that has a heart with an arrow and IV with a line above that. And if you're not familiar with Roman numerals, well, the one the I and the V indicate 4. If you're not sure what the line above it is, because I would not blame anyone if they just looked at the image to say that this is a curved arrow with TV and a heart, which would push people to go to twitch.tv/Sea of Thieves to follow the account there. I would not be surprised if that's what you thought. It's what I initially thought, but the alt text here is really the champion of these tweets because it is the one that explicitly states what's going to actually happen. So I did some digging and I found out that in Roman numeral world, if you put a line above a number, anything above 4 or 3,999 indicates that it is a large number. So having a 4 in Roman numerals with a line above it indicates that it is a 4,000, because the line indicates that it is a 1,000 marker. And the little symbol that's next to all this is the same symbol that was found on a bunch of mysterious keys, which were random web pages that if you went searching around the Sea of Thieves website, you would find these little key icons. And if you clicked on them, they would take you to a web page with nothing on it except this one image that had a key. And on this key were etchings of a symbol and a word. The word for this one is turn. And there's a little wrapping with the same icon as the etching on it. And we've had these in the past. So if you're looking at the actual music box, we have the symbol on there that indicates that it is a retweet. And I think that was something that was very clear. We understood what we were going to be doing. And I'm actually going to use the murder mystery board for the Merfolk's Lullaby website to kind of help with some of the reference here because it helps out. But what we found out is that the retweets unlocked stuff in the game, and I think that stuff in the game was we found it, and then once we understood like what the pattern is going to be, we started to keep an eye out for this stuff. But once we hit that 2,000 retweets, it unlocked little notes that have been in the Sea of Thieves, and they're little notes that you find. The first one for the retweets unlocked notes that were showing up on gravestones everywhere around the world. And they're out of order, and they have one line on them. but we don't know who actually said the line, and we don't know who wrote these notes, but they're a dagger with a note on these headstones. And this first happened when we got the 2,000 retweets on the initial image, where with the music box when they showed this. And to kind of read you some of the notes that I found, again, I'm going to be using Merfolk Lullaby's website for this because it's got everything kind of collated in a visual way for me to be able to explain it to you. So there is a note on Crooked Masts that says, "You said yourself we were done." Then there's one on Flintlock Peninsula that says, "He made that perfectly clear." Then there's one on Kraken's Fall that says, "So I lied." Then there's one on Lone Cove that says, "You're the last person I expected here." Then there's one on Ruby's Fall that says, "Just listen, none of this feels right." There's one on Sharkbait Cove that says, "Oh, of course it is. Right from the start, it has been." And then there's one on Sunken Grove that says, "Don't tell me you're becoming sentimental after all this time." Then there's one on Thieves Haven that says, "This isn't a joke." And then there's one on Wanderer's Refuge that says, "You thought I'd just let this go." And we don't really know a whole lot about who's talking to who right now. But if I had to say, it is someone who is, because this is all tied to the murder. Obviously, this is the stuff that has. If you don't believe me, the lantern that you get from the maiden voyage chest that is found just off the coast of Sea Dog's Rest. If you head over there right now, you can see some footprints heading over to some barrels. There's a note in some rocks. If you read the note, it talks in a cryptic way to go to a red shell and then head out to the ocean, where you will find amongst a bunch of seaweed that there is a chest, and that chest has a red lantern that is a Sea Dog lantern with a red flame in it. A lot of this I'm pretty sure I've talked about in the past. If I haven't, I apologize, because I know I've referenced it in previous episodes. But using this, you can, we were able to discover the secret message on the sand that said, "Who killed DeMarco?" And as such, people have been walking around with this lantern trying to find secret images. I still haven't found the one that says Jack was here. I'm still keeping an eye out for that one. But all of these ghostly notes are all ones that appear only when you hold up the flame from this lantern. And it clues us into maybe some of the broken dialogue that has happened as a result of what happened to this murder. And the lines here tend to suggest that there was something between people that indicated that there was a bit of a breakup here. Like you said it yourself, we were done. This is to me a conversation between two people who were in an agreement of some nature, whether it be a relationship or whether it be something like a partnership. And or maybe it might even be people referencing the fact that the Sea Dogs are done and that there's no more with the Sea Dogs to move on with. And then the other line says, like, "He made that perfectly clear," possibly referencing that DeMarco had made it clear that the Sea Dogs were done. And so the next one is "So I lied," potentially talking about how whoever's speaking to them was not 100% done with what they were talking about. And then another one says, like, "You're the last person expected here." It seems like maybe they weren't expecting whoever it is to actually show up for whatever they plan on doing. And then another line, "Just listen, none of this feels right." It indicates maybe that they're having second guesses because there's another line that says, "Don't tell me you're becoming sentimental after all this time." There's kind of some second guessing going on here. I'm trying to think, like, because the order here is, we don't know what the actual order here is, but it's like, "You said yourself we were done," and then the other person says, "Of course it is. Right from the start, it has been." Or like, "He made that perfectly clear." It's hard to tell. "You thought I'd just let this go." This isn't a joke. It seems like there's a conversation, and it feels like there's a conversation that's happening that potentially alludes to the fact that Sea Dogs have been closed this whole time, and that while many of the Sea Dogs thought that this was the end, that there might be more work to be done, or that someone is maybe looking to see if there's something that can be done in maybe in retaliation for Sea Dog's closing. So that was one of the things that happened when we had the music box tease with the 2 M's and the retweet symbol, which indicated 2,000 retweets. Then we got the wind symbol, which had 3 M's, and that was 3,000 things. But I have no clue what the wind was there. But once we hit it, and it might have been retweets, it might have been likes, it unlocked another set of notes. And these notes were all found on rowboats. So you wandered around the world with the red Sea Dog lantern, and you could uncover the notes that were all about the rowboats. So let's kind of read through the lines there, see if we can kind of swap these in and out, try and understand what the conversation is having in this one. And we don't know if this conversation is its own conversation or if it's a conversation that is supposed to be combined with the previous notes that we found. But let me read through these ones. These take place on Ashen Reach, Crescent Isle, The Devil's Thirst, Mermaid's Hideaway, Old Faithful Island, Plunder Valley, Smuggler's Bay, The Sunken Grove, and Thieves Haven. So a lot of different rowboats. Not all rowboats, by the way. There are plenty of rowboats out there that don't actually have notes, but just these ones are ones that we found notes on them. So let's kind of read through some of these, see if we can kind of suss out what's going on. So the truth will come out. It always does, sooner or later. I mean it. I don't trust anyone, not anymore. No one can know I was here, as if you could. I've never seen you this upset. You're being ridiculous. Don't startle me like that. I nearly shot you. How could I not be? They're coming for me. I can feel it. I don't think so. I have to cover my tracks. And those are the lines. And it feels like it is the same conversation to me. It feels like this is a conversation that is mixed between the two sets of notes that have been released, and that once we have all of the different lines, we'll be able to actually find out what the full conversation is. Unfortunately, at this time, we still don't know who this conversation is between, but it is definitely between two people who are potentially conspiracy. What is the word? I can't think of what the word is. Creating a conspiracy? No. Conspiring. That's it. I finally got there, guys. Aren't you proud? They're conspiring against who I imagine would probably be DeMarco, being that it's based on the murder of DeMarco. I still don't want DeMarco to be dead, but I do have a feeling that if he's dead, and I think I talked about this last episode, that I believe 100% that his soul is trapped in the red lantern that we're carrying around, and that it'll be freed. And once it's freed, we'll be able to restore him to, he'll go back to the ferryman. The ferryman will grant him the ability to be human again, like Beauty and the Beast. And we will then be able to have a wonderful sing along at the end of this. All licensed music included. So it'll be really great. It'll be a fantastic number at the end of this. And I'm very excited to see that. So, but with the reason why we're bringing this up now is, of course, because I'm recording this so late, we got a new tweet, and with the new tweet, we got the indication that there is a turn key that we're going to be unlocking, and that the turn key obviously has to get 4,000 likes on that tweet or that tweet to actually be able to do that. It might be combined too. I don't know if they posted this on Instagram. They might have, but if they did, then it was going to be something where it might be like a combined number between the different social media accounts. But for sure, it's going to be 4,000 likes, and for sure, it's going to unlock the quote unquote turn key, at which point we will then have another set of notes. I don't know if there's any indication on how these are going to be put into the game, when they're going to be put into the game, or where we're going to find them. But I have been trying to think about different things that tie to some of the other actual keys that we have. So if you don't know, there's 5 keys. Two of them we've already kind of revealed, and that was the wind key and I believe the spin key. I feel like the spin key is the retweet that we got, and they didn't use the actual retweet symbol because I think it would have been a little too obvious. But obviously this one has the same symbol on the music box as this key, which is the quote unquote turn key. But then outside of that, we still have two more keys. We have the roll key, which looks like a seashell. And then we have the pivot key, which is, I don't even know how to describe this, but it's an arrow with a little line next to it. But the two that we have left, roll, turn, and pivot are actions that we have. Like all of these except for wind are actions. Like you can spin, you can pivot, you can roll, you can turn, and but you can't wind. Or maybe it's wind. No, it can't be wind. It's got to be wind because it has like a little cloud. So I'm still second guessing myself and still trying to suss all this stuff out. But it is very interesting to kind of see like where this is going to go. I have a feeling that carts are going to be next as far as where we're going to find notes, just based on like some of the objects that they've been using right now. Like they've used headstones. Headstones are very, very easy to find markers around the world. Like there's grave sites around the different islands all over the place. And same thing with rowboats. Like there's broken rowboats all over the ocean for the different islands, and you can see them. They're very clear, and you can put something on them, and it's a very unique object. It's not like a rock or a tree. So I'm thinking carts. We have a fair few carts out in the world that are not used for anything. So I imagine that the next ones will be found on those. The other one that I think we might find notes on are bells. We tend to have a lot of bells out in the world, and a lot of those bells or like flagpoles are unique and can be something that you can point to and say like, I know where that's at, or at least I know where there are others like that. And that might be a good place to put some of these other ghostly notes. But we've got two that are unlocked now, one that we're in the progress of doing now, and then two that we don't know how to unlock in the future. I do want to address that if this is one of the cases where we are going to be unlocking the mystery key turn with 4,000 likes, I really hope that this is something that is across all of the different social media sites, because the history for the Twitter, at least, is not very good when it comes to anything above like 2.5, 3,000 likes. Like asking for that many likes on a single tweet is really tough. Like you're really asking for the community to really kind of like pay attention to this, and a lot of tweets honestly get lost in the mix. This is coming up on 2 hours right now that it's been live, and it's only got 605 likes. So 4,000 is a hefty sum, and we'll probably see this within the first day get close to probably 1,500. I would say 1,500 likes, but it's again, it's something that I hope is across the different social media accounts, and I hope that they're posting the same image over on like Instagram, which I feel like I need to go check now. And I hate going to Instagram because I don't like it, because it deals with pictures and I'm not attractive, so I don't bother with that. Because why would I? I have cats, I guess, in that case. But let me take a look and see if Sea of Thieves over on Instagram has actually got this up. Yeah, it doesn't look like they've actually posted they have not posted this image over there. So I will be very interested to see if it does. And if they do, I really feel like it needs to be a combined thing. It can't just be on Twitter, man, because that would absolutely kill this. And it kind of goes back to the same thing of the Ovaltine conversation that I had, which was kind of a bummer. You know, it is marketing, it is social media engagement. And I appreciate that they want to have engagement. It obviously drives people to play the game, but there's a certain amount of return on that. And I hope that they kind of aren't pushing it too hard.
Yes. Be sure to drink your Ovaltine. Ovaltine? A crummy commercial? Son of a bitch.
All right. So there is a fair amount of intrigue going on with the next adventure. I know that I've heard that it's in the insiders. People have told me that they've been doing the insider stuff for it. And I asked them not to tell me anything about it because I'm very interested in it. But I know it's tough to talk around when you're trying to suss out some of that speculative stuff. But I wanted to talk about the adventure itself, because right now I went into the actual game, and the game itself has had like the preview for the adventure for a while, and for a long time it had the image of a book, and the book was propped up against a stack of books next to the ferryman's lantern, the kind of broken up iron wrought lantern with the green glow inside of it. And there was a dagger that was kind of stabbed into a pile of gold bullion, or not bullion, but just coins. Bullions are like the actual bricks, I think, and a red gem. And in the background you could see what looks to be, I would say, actually Plunder Outpost. And for a long time that was kind of the base image, and we were kind of wondering, with Adventure 5 being called the Forsaken Hunter, there's not a whole lot to really go off of with that, so it's hard to know like what that actually means. And for the long time the book cover itself had the same image of Gray Morrow's books from the Fate of the Morning Star. If I recall the Fate of the Morning Star one correctly, I think it's that, or I think it's the one essentially where you're going after Gray Morrow. So for a long time, we've kind of been thinking like, okay, well, the Forsaken Hunter is probably going to tie into Gray Morrow and probably Merrick, because he's a hunter, and Gray Morrow is forsaken. You know, he's kind of caught between realms right now with the Fort of the Damned, and I'd be very kind of curious, you know, to understand like what's that going to happen. All of that has changed. There is now a new image for Adventure 5. It is still called the Forsaken Hunter, and it is still coming in about 2 weeks, which would be roughly at about the end of this month, which I imagine is probably the 30th. Let me take a look at the calendar, actually. So this would be 1 week, and then that would be 2 weeks. So yeah, if it's based off of the 16th, then that would be about 2 weeks. We don't like have a set date, obviously, and this was based on today, which is the 19th, so it's hard to know for sure. But I'm basing this off of Rare Thief's site, which has like the quote unquote calendar of Sea of Thieves, which kind of shows you like Golden Glory weekends, different events, and the adventure from their perspective is set to start up on the 30th of June, which would give us 2 weeks and put us right about the 14th of July, which would then give us a week between the end of this adventure and the 21st, which is the beginning of Season 7. Now, we don't know much about Season 7 or the adventures or the mysteries, anything tied to that. But one of the things that happened to change with Adventure 5 is that while it's still called the Forsaken Hunter, it now has a new book cover. That book cover is a very unique book cover. The book cover itself looks like it has two images. There's a bottom half and a top half. The top half takes up about 2/3, and it looks like it is two people wearing hoods and white masks in the shape of a heart that is broken. There's little lines that are kind of radiating down below it. And there's the bottom half, which is the bottom third of the book cover, has a bunch of silhouettes of what look to be people potentially wearing robes. Now, the thing that I love about this is if you take a look at the image, or if you read a description of the image, it definitely looks like these are the people who are following Wanda, the Warsmith, with the same pale white ivory mask with the red lips and the cracks in the actual mask, wearing the black hoods to cover their skeleton faces. I would not be surprised if that is who these are. And the fact that the shape of this looks like it is a heart that is broken in two, not fully, but definitely broken, because it is two faces kind of side by side, shoulder to shoulder. I really, really hope that Rare has decided to move forward with the Maidens of Sorrow. And if that's true, then I'm going to be very happy, because I love that name. But I think that the Forsaken Hunter is going to pertain to Wanda and her ilk, her following, and what that's going to mean. Now, we don't know necessarily if this is going to mean anything for Merrick or not, but because Merrick has kind of put himself in the sights of the Reapers, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Now that Golden Sands has been declared new Golden Sands, according to the adventure, and Golden Sands has been saved, Merrick has returned to his outpost over at Stephen Spoils in the Ancient Isles. But you can't lead a war against the Reapers and not put a target on your back. So is the Forsaken Hunter someone who is forsaken or outcast or doomed at this point? And is it referring to the hunter, or the hunter being Merrick, since he is part of the hunter's call? The other side of this might have to pertain to another aspect of hunters in the Sea of Thieves. If you've been around the Sea of Thieves, you might have seen these with some of the riddles. And I'm talking about the rock paintings and the graves out in the world that refer to hunters. There's rock paintings that are called the legendary Lone Hunter that's on the north beach of Devil's Ridge. There's a rock painting called the Eagle Hunter high to the east in Plunder Valley. There's the Hunter's Tale on the northwest side of the grassy ledge for Thieves Haven, and there's a hunter's grave on Kraken's Fall. So I wonder if maybe that there is something to do with the hunters, and the Forsaken Hunter might actually be someone that is someone that is forsaken in from the Sea of the Damned, that we haven't really seen a whole lot of or know much about, and that could be someone like Belle. I don't know for sure, and it seems like a stretch, so I think it'd be easier to assume that this has to do with Merrick. If it's Forsaken, then he could be something like he's getting chased, or it could do something with the Forsaken Shores and being out in the middle of the Devil's Roar with Merrick. It's hard to know for sure, but I do have a feeling that it will definitely take into account Wanda the Warsmith and the Maidens of Sorrow. I think that they're going to start being a little more part of what's going on, and it makes me wonder if maybe it's going to tie into something that is going on with DeMarco, because we really haven't had any kind of connection between that story, the murder mystery, as well as the adventures. And the reason I bring this up is because with this latest adventure, we've had these adventures, and in the Forts of the Forgotten, there were two trailers. There was the cinematic trailer, and then there was the gameplay trailer that came out. And both of those trailers have allusions to fates worse than death in Sea of Thieves. And to me, and this is obviously a stretch, the fate worse than death is being locked away in an object with your soul, and not being able to move to the Ferry of the Damned to be judged by the ferryman to decide whether or not you can make it back to the Sea of the Damned. The Spanish officers at the fort warn that, you know, if you step out of line with Flameheart, then there is a fate worse than death. You know, there are things worse than death in the Sea of Thieves. Belle also is worried for the souls at the Forts of the Forgotten, and making sure that they're rescued, because there are things worse than death in the Sea of Thieves. And if it's someone, and I'm very curious about this, because originally the Adventure 5 had Grey Morrow's book on the cover of this, and a fate worse than death is having your soul trapped in an object. And it kind of like, I'm seriously, I'm connecting the strings. I got my tinfoil hat on. I really do feel like DeMarco's soul is trapped in an object. Now, it is one of those things where it's trapped in the actual thing, and we had the actual tweet that just recently came out from Sea of Thieves. I can't remember if I talked about this last time. If I did, I'm very sorry. It's not something intentional. It's just one of those things where like it popped up. I can't remember if I talked about it, but I figured I might as well cover it here in case you forgot about it or missed it in the last one. But in the SOT gear, when they do the hashtags to talk about gear, they had the Fallen Sea Dog Lantern, which the fact that it's called Fallen indicates that that a sea dog has fallen. You know, a fallen sea dog lantern, a lantern found in a sunken chest near Sea Dog's Rest. Surprisingly, it still works. that to me says like there's a reason why that soul or why that lantern works, and there's a reason why that lantern is showing us all these notes of a conversation that we don't understand, and it is DeMarco's soul. In it's at DeMarco's body, so it's like the clues are very apparent right there. And I've tweeted about this, and I put myself out there as being this is the case, and how I believe this is going to be what happens and stuff. But I'm thinking that we're going to start seeing a convergence between Adventure 5, Wanda the Warsmith with the Maidens of Sorrow, and DeMarco's Killers. And I think we're going to start finding out a little bit more about these two things. And I think that the timing of this is kind of in place because they kicked off the adventures back in March, and we've kind of had this build up. We've had the introduction to characters, the Forts of the Forgotten. That was stuff that kicked up in March. And then, of course, the actual mystery itself is about 3 weeks old, which puts it roughly about the beginning of June, which is about a month after or 2 months after they kind of kicked off the adventure for this. So they're playing the long game. If you remember, this all kind of kicked off way back in December of 2021 with the Orb stream and Flameheart Jr. and the teases that we had there. And we're about 6 months down the line. So I think we're going to start turning the corner on this adventure and mystery, and it's going to start kind of combining, and we're going to start doing adventures that tie into the mystery in a way by indicating like there's a magic that we're having to be aware of, that we're having to bring back into the forethought of our knowledge, because we've experienced this stuff in the past, but it's not something that many of us remember, or a fair number of us out on the seas weren't around during that time. So they have to bring it up, they have to remind us, they have to get it in the forefront of our minds so that when stuff happens, we're like, aha, I remember this. Yes, of course. This is what they've been talking all along. So I'm very interested to kind of see where this goes. We're still a ways out. We're still kind of like finding out some of these teases. I'm glad that we're getting stuff little by little. Like I've been very curious to see like when we were going. I was thinking we were kind of like due for another update on this whole mystery thing after the presentation for the season 7 stuff, and I was wondering where it was. So I'm glad that we got that. I'm glad that we're getting something to kind of keep our interest in this, so we don't forget about it, because it's so easy to forget about this, especially when you have things like Golden Glory going on. You completely forget about all the actual lore that's going on in the world. Still not a terribly huge fan of the actual like social media aspect of all this, but this is a way that they're doing it. They're trying to keep the community invested in it. There's only so many avenues that they can do to try and get this kind of content, because there are some really good super sleuths out there, and they will 100% figure this stuff out within the first minutes of it going live. So to make sure that there is something for everyone to kind of like be aware, like, okay, we're getting close to this thing, and once we hit this thing, then we'll know that we can actually like go out, start looking for all this new lore that's in the world. I'm glad that they're able to do this, but I'm very excited. I really want to know like what's going on with this. It's the most interested I've been. Seriously, like season 6, to me, season 6 has been some of the most engaging content that we've had with the adventures, with the mystery, with the continued progression. I've been going through Destiny 2 this season, what is it, 17. And the story there has been dished out week by week by week, and it's been a new voyage, or not a new voyage. I'm thinking Sea of Thieves here. It's been a new mission every single week, and we know to get it. We know that it's expected. They have rewards tied to it, which is kind of cool. But there's always just a little bit at a time, and I've really enjoyed just being able to have a couple games that I play, and it's a bummer because I would love to sit down and play single player games and actually have like a full story, but when I go to sit down to a single player game, for whatever reason, I can't just sit there and play through it unless the story's like absolutely riveting. I always get bored or distracted, and I either drop off the game or I get into a game where I can sit down and actually chat with people, because I think I enjoy hanging out and chatting with people more than I do most of the single player games that are out there and stuff. So I have a real hard time straying away from games like Sea of Thieves and Destiny 2, where I can be social, I can be with friends, I can hang out with the community, and be able to chat with them about this kind of stuff. I really love that. So when Sea of Thieves starts doing stuff like this in season 6, this is, aside from the actual delay aside of season 7, I have to say I genuinely feel like Sea of Thieves is doing stuff right now that has really just took off in my mind. I feel like this is the most engaged I felt with the content since they've been releasing the Tall Tales. I was definitely, I checked out with the whole the Ash and Wind stuff because it was too hard at the start for me to warrant the time. The Cursed Fleets was great. I absolutely really love that, but it was a world event and we had the voyage and stuff, and I still really like this, but tying the stuff that we get in the game that is like world events or different things and stuff, and having it driven by narrative really does keep people like me engaged with the game on a regular basis. Like I'm constantly, like if I'm sailing, I'm talking with people about it, or we're coming up with theories about it and stuff like that. And it's so much fun. It really does kind of like let you live in the world that is changing with you and having you change these things. And so I feel like I've been kind of critical of the game, maybe the last few episodes or the last few weeks or the last couple months. But just as I've been kind of sitting back and thinking about some of the things that we've been going through, there are choices that are made that I'm not necessarily a huge fan of, but overall, the game is just absolutely killing it. And it's to the point now where I have actually been very defensive over the Xbox Bethesda showcase where we got the trailer, because the trailer was great. I had a really good time, but I kept hearing people talk about how Sea of Thieves didn't deserve to be in the actual showcase. It wasn't interesting enough. It didn't bring any good information, or it wasn't anything as big as a Pirate's Life update. And I found myself getting extremely defensive about it, because I was like, no, you don't understand. This is something that we've been asking for. This is something that fans of the game that have been dedicated to the community and to the game and to the studio for a long time have been wanting. This is something that we've desired for a long time. And the fact that we're finally getting it, the fact that we're finally having this come to the game really speaks to Rare's commitment to the community, to their ideas, to their desires, to the things that they want to bring to the game that they know the fans are interested in. They're doing an amazing job with the adventures and keeping story going, even if they're short-lived. They're not amazing like blow you out of the water kind of events, and there's definitely criticism as they kind of learn how these are going. But just like with Tall Tales, just like with ledgers or emissaries and stuff like that, they will get better as time goes on, because they will have more time, they will have more experience, they will know what works, what doesn't work. And in a year's time, when we're on like adventure 8 or 9, this is going to be fantastic. We're going to have so much fun doing this, and you can already see the bones of what's going to be in the future with the adventures that we have right now. And I'm very excited to kind of see where things go, because I understand that while things may feel a little rickety right now, that's because we haven't built up enough support structures to really showcase these as like the things to look forward each season. Seasons 1, 2, and 3, or 1 and 2 definitely weren't the strongest seasons, but season 6 is now a year in. It is fantastic. It is amazing. I've loved this content. I've had a really good time with this. And I understand I'm waxing poetic here, and this is nothing new to you. But I at least appreciate you kind of listening with this, because I'm super excited. But I was going to throw in some clips here from the actual trailers. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the links to the 2 videos that I talked about, as far as like the cinematic trailer and the actual launch trailer from back in March, so that you guys, if you want to go back and listen to them and then kind of think about some of the words that they're saying, some of the things that they're saying that could be alluding to, not illusions, not ILLUSION, but ELLUDES, alludes to the potential for what's going to happen with the mystery. Because I think they're very particular about the words they use, the threats that are talked about, because we haven't seen something straight outright like, you better not mess up or you're going to get turned into a lantern. We haven't seen that yet. But I think that's what they're alluding to. And maybe not necessarily like a lantern. It's not like, oh, they just Beauty and the Beast them to death. But I think that is essentially what we're talking about here. I think Grey Morrow is no longer the only person to be able to trap a soul within an object and keep it in Sea of Thieves so that you can't do anything. You have no recourse. You can't go to the ferryman and come back unless someone knows where to look for you. And I think we've been helping with, I think DeMarco's been helping us try and uncover this mystery as the lantern this whole time. And I'm just hoping that we find true love before the final petal falls and we release. Is this metaphor working? I don't even know if this is working. Tell me if this is working, please. I hope that we release DeMarco's soul before the metaphors get out of hand. But let's wrap things up. We're going long here. All right, Pirates, that's going to do it for this episode of the Keelhauled podcast. Thank you so much to everyone that is supporting me. Thanks to everyone that has joined up recently for the Patreon, joined up for the Discord. There is the Sherpa program that is still going on as well, too. So if you want help doing things, I think they're doing Skeleton Thrones soon. They're going to be going out and getting the 2 crews for Skeleton Thrones knocked out. So if you have those commendations, definitely join up in the Discord. Make sure that you don't miss out on that if you need them, because they'll probably need more bodies. Actually, let me take a look at this, because I think this is actually going on tomorrow as of recording this, and it's going to be tight. So you may listen to this and you may have already missed out on it. But let's see, Apollo events. This is going on. Yeah, this is going on June 20th, which is Monday at 6 p.m. PST. It is literally like 19 hours from going on. Not many people have actually signed up for this. It's been Chenzo and Norwegian, which means that they'll probably have to roll 2 sloops to be able to do this. So if you need to get your Skeleton Thrones, the large ones out in the world that you need 2 crews to be able to sit in to get those commendations knocked out, that is going on. They may end up doing another one, but just a reminder that the Sherpa program is still going on. If you want help, if you want advice, if you want people to help you kind of get to Pirate Legend, things like that, that's available in the Keelhauled Discord server as well too. And links are in the show notes as well too, if you want to know how to get there, or if you have any questions, just reach out to me or reach out to anyone in I guess I'm probably the best point of contact, but I'm around, so feel free to message me. I generally find all the messages eventually, and I'll try and get responses to you in a timely manner. So with that, Pirates, if you want to get a hold of me, there's plenty of ways to do that. Obviously, the contact list in the show notes has everything, but if you just want to do it right now, at CAPT_LOGUN on Twitter, capt_Logun, or at Keelhauled Pod on Twitter. If you want to get a hold of me on Twitter, other places, CaptainLogun is my gamer tag as well. The Discord channel is the best way. If you do email, not many people do, but if you do email, CAPTLOGUN@gmail.com. I keep an eye on that for the email address and stuff. Just send it there, and I'll definitely put it in my SOT folder. And if you have time, it doesn't matter, but if you have time, it always helps out with different analytics and stuff. You can always head over to Spotify. You can rate the show 5 stars. You can subscribe there or follow there. You can go to iTunes or Google Play or your normal place, and you can rate it 5 stars. Leave a review if you want. That always helps out with analytics, but more importantly, it lets people know how you feel about the show, and it gives people a real perspective on how the show has been. The show's been going for 4 years. We're on episode 228. There's a lot to go back and listen to, and because this show is kind of like it's not evergreen content most of the time. Most of the episodes are kind of like daily news and stuff like that, kind of current day events and stuff. So not too many episodes are evergreen, but having people reach out to me to say that they're starting from the beginning is really cool. It's really awesome to hear that. It's really nice that you guys are doing that, because it's quite a feat. That's a lot of hours to be able to listen to content. So hopefully it's not boring. Hopefully it's interesting to go back and kind of hear about what Sea of Thieves was like back in the day before we had all of this stuff going on. But again, I'm getting long in the tooth here. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for listening. And with that, Pirates, thank you. I love you, and I look forward to sailing with you in the Sea of Thieves.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.
Have you ever wondered how deep the Elder Scrolls lore rabbit hole goes? Have you got a grasp of the basics and want to find out more about the universe? Written in Uncertainty is here to help you. We'll be mixing in philosophy, theology, and whatever other theory is useful with Elder Scrolls texts to untangle some of the biggest questions in the series, like what are dragon breaks, how does Chim work, where did the Dwemer go, and more. Check us out at writteninuncertainty.com or find Written in Uncertainty on any podcatcher. Thanks for listening, and catch you later in the Grey Maybe of Tamriel.
In a world where solid-state electronics and vacuum tubes are still meta, people never stopped loving atomic-powered everything. A chosen 500 stepped inside a subterranean vault to be spared the nuclear horror of the inevitable Great War. 25 years later, they emerge after the fallout settles to retake Appalachia. Among them, two former rivals whose blood feud will tear West Virginia apart in their epic struggle for survival. Chad, a vault bro who has a strength of 15, an intelligence of 2, and is a complete wasteland dickhead. Simon, a complicated anti-hero who chooses light and hope, but accidentally becomes a cannibal and wakes up naked and afraid with a Scorch Beast queen after a date goes terribly wrong. What? I mean, it's a wild wasteland, right? This dark humor radio drama will have you driving off the road and crawling out from under the fallout. 2 men, 1 wasteland, and so many nukes. Chad, a Fallout 76 podcast, rated R, now streaming on your holotape player podcasty thing.